All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to SAM.gov Bids Live, episode 30. Woohoo, we made it to another milestone episode where we walk through small business solicitations together on SAM.gov and answer your questions along the way so that you can start bidding and winning contracts for your small business. Today, we do have 5 small business solicitations that I've pulled up on SAM that we will be looking and jumping into in just a second. But if you are new here, and you don't want to miss future SAM.gov Bids episodes, consider subscribing to the channel and click the notification bell so that you can ask your questions live on future streams. And if you do happen to be somebody who has recently registered your business in SAM.gov, you're looking to get started bidding, check out my website, govkidmethod.com, for free and paid resources that were designed to support new federal contractors just like you guys. Now, if you are brand new to the stream, let me know in the chat. This is your first live. And also, while you do that, let me know what state you are representing this morning or this afternoon for some. So if it's your first live, and what state are you guys tuning in from today? We'll go ahead and get the chat warmed up that way. And while we do that, we will go ahead and take a quick look now at the bids that we're going to be spending some time on today. So bid number 1 that we're going to be looking at is for transportation services for the DoD, Washington Headquarters Services, actually. The second bid we're going to be looking at today is Janitorial Services, Madison County, Edwardsville, Illinois. Number 3, we have Broadcast System Specialist, okay, for Bureau of Land Management. This is going to be, these next 3 or next 2 are going to be more like staffing requirements. So this first one, again, is going to be System Specialist. That appears to be staffing to me. The second one is going to be for Program Support Services for the Army. So that sounds like staffing as well. And then the last one is Protective Security Officer, or PSO services throughout the state of Tennessee. So we're looking at 5, and these last 3, like I said, are shaping up to be staffing type requirements. So just kind of giving you a heads up on what we are going to be looking at today, guys. Awesome. We got Drew. What's going on, Drew? Good morning, Derek from Colorado. 1011 Trucking, greetings first live. Welcome, 1011 Trucking. Mashed Up Madness out of Illinois, and 1011 Trucking out of Georgia. Awesome, guys, and welcome. And yeah, keep the states coming from where you guys representing. And if this is your first live, let me know in the chat. And just so you guys know, as we're about to get started now, I don't look at any of these bids ahead of time. For those of you, this is your first time. What I do is I pull up what looks interesting. I try to diversify it a little bit across different industries. And then we just jump into these together and do kind of quick bid reviews, extract key information, and try and do a bit of training interjected throughout as well as it seems appropriate. So I don't look at these ahead of time. I don't come polished, so that we can go through it kind of raw and unperfect with you. Because if you're watching this, arguably you're on SAM or you're planning to be on SAM, and you're going to be kind of doing this on your own. So we want to go through this raw for the first time together. So I haven't looked at any of these bids, and we kind of just make sense of it and tell a story or put a puzzle together, as I like to say, as we go through these. And lastly, the way this works is we'll go bid and then chat, and then bid and chat. So we bounce between back and forth. So if you have questions, you're going through something, you want to drop it in the chat, I will answer those in between bids. So just keep those going as we go throughout. Today, we'll be going for about an hour. Miss D, hello, Alabama here. Hello, Miss D, good to see you. Jason Turner, hello from Seminole, Florida. Awesome. What's going on, Jason? Thanks for hanging out today. Jessica Clark, good morning from Indiana. What's going on, Jessica? Good morning, good morning. Jason, great video on middlemaning the other day. Hey, thanks so much, Jason. I appreciate that. I assume you're talking about our live training that we did Wednesday night, which we're actually doing again. We're actually doing again tomorrow night, and I can talk more about that as well. Building with Goose out of Goolsby, California. Welcome. And we also have Charles hanging out with us this morning from Indianapolis. Cool, guys. Let's go ahead and dive in. Again, as you have questions, feel free to post those. Otherwise, kick back and enjoy the show here. So bid number 1 we're going to be looking at is for transportation services. This is due February 7th. So just about a week to actually respond to this. The small business, or the set aside rather, is total small business. we are seeing a 485510 NAICS code. Maybe the first time you've ever seen that. I certainly think it is mine. For charter bus industry. Interesting. They're saying Washington Headquarters Services intends to procure transport services for the Counter-Terrorism Senior Executive Seminar. Okay, so it sounds like there's an event going on that they need transport for, maybe. The government anticipates awarding a firm fixed price contract. The anticipated period of performance is February 27th, which also sounds like maybe it's one day, one event, one day. Again, we're not providing the hotel and accommodations. We're providing the transportation from possibly this address, but we'll find out more. In terms of the documents that we do have our statement of work, PWS, and we have what appears to be the solicitation. So we'll just go ahead and dive in with that solicitation. Again, we're coming into this based on what we just read from the SAM.gov listing page, thinking this is going to be a one-day event where they need transport from the Washington headquarters that's been referenced. So transportation services, they're saying 5 each. We don't know exactly what that means yet. Could be 5 buses. We'll kind of see what that unit of measure is going to be more specifically. They are, again, this is our pricing CLIN here. So they're not giving us a lot. They're referencing the PWS, but the contractor shall provide transport support services. So this is basically the same thing that was posted on the listing page. We do have our delivery schedule here that's reflecting more than one day. So it says 27 Feb through March 3rd. Now, I just want to compare that really quickly. Here it says the start date is February 27th. So a bit of a correction here, right? It's the start date. It's not necessarily the only date. And 27 February through March 23rd, let me just pull up my calendar just to, we want to make this thing come to life. 27 February is going to be a Monday, and then March 3rd is going to be a Friday. So now we have much more context, right? Looking at this delivery schedule here, the period of performance, it's going to be 5 days, and it's going to be Monday through Friday. So now we're thinking, okay, cool. There's an event going on all week. They're probably going to need transport each week. And then even coming to the pricing schedule, the 5 is likely representing 5 days, Monday through Friday. So the unit price is likely going to be a per day transport cost. See how we kind of like put that together without them telling us? It's just, so you learn to read this way and you start to build a story and assemble a puzzle in a way that makes sense. We have our reps and certs, covered telecom. Now, some of that information is going to be within our statement of work, and that is attached separately. So really all else that we're looking to see in here is maybe an instruction to offerors, maybe an evaluation factors. What do they want in our proposal, and how is the winning bidder going to be chosen? And we may see that. It may be price only, where it's only the pricing CLINs that we saw on the SF 1449 form. And this is why we do quick scrolls. So here we go. So all the way at the end here, we are hit with a section L, instruction to offers, which tells us what they want in our response. WHS intends to, okay, we know this. They're referencing a quote, RFQ. All questions must be submitted by February 1st, which is tomorrow. Today's the last day of January, so you made it this far. Congratulations. Required quote information, TIN number, cage code, UEI, signed SF 1449 form, so you want to print, date, and sign that, and completion of the reps and certs and FAR clauses. Note, vendor must be registered in SAM, of course. So what does that tell us? It's telling us price only. We're going to look at the evaluation down here to see if there's anything additional, but this is really what this is screaming out to us, saying this is price only, i.e. fill out the pricing on the SF 1449 form, because we're not even giving you an Excel sheet or anything else, or pricing tables or anything of the sort. So evaluation, acceptable, unacceptable means pass, fail. Following factors shall be used, meaning technically acceptable and price. So first you have to be found technically acceptable, meaning you have to check the boxes. And if you check the boxes, then they're going to look at your price. And if your price is indeed the lowest, once the boxes are checked for technical acceptability, if that's the case, you will win the contract. Straight up, this is the lowest price, technically acceptable, LPTA. And that's just basically a breakdown of the same thing here. I would like to see what it means to be technically acceptable in their words. And what they're saying to be acceptable means proposal / quote clearly meets the minimum requirements of the solicitation. And what are those minimum requirements of the solicitation? It's a repetition of this. So this is really your required quote information. This is going to be your North Star. This is going to be your compass when assembling your response to this. It's actually going to be a very light response to put together. The most difficult or time involved thing for this is going to be getting pricing for this. Now, before we bounce to the next bid, but we'll check in with the chat first, I just do want to touch base with the PWS and see, this is only 3 pages, see if there's anything else that they're giving us. Okay, so bus departs from lodging, drop off at NDU, bus departs NDU, drops off at lodging. Okay, and you're going to do this Monday through Friday. So we are actually seeing the exact days spelled out that we were suspecting. Okay. The one thing that I don't know is the bus provided and we have to provide bus drivers, or is it the bus and the drivers? That's the one thing that I don't know and I haven't seen. But I haven't read the statement of work, so that's actually fair. The contract requires expert transport services to and from. The contractor shall provide experienced licensed drivers. Okay, here we go. Who are familiar with DC. The contractor shall provide the driver with the schedule as provided that we just looked at. The charter bus required is for 55 people. Sounds like you got to provide the bus too. Tentative requirements schedule is attached. So it sounds like driver and bus. Okay. And so if you're renting a bus and you're hiring a driver, what would that cost be for one day? That's going to help you build out your each pricing, because you're going to want your pricing to be based off of one day times 5 is going to be your total. Okay. Of course, you're going to have to include any of your own, overhead and profit into that as well. But that pretty much answers what I was wanting to see with that. All right, guys, let's go ahead and check in with you all in the chat, and then we will keep the ball rolling on bid number 2 after that. All right. Jessica, you guys are talking to each other. Sorry, neighbor from Richmond, right on, 1011 Trucking, registered on SAM, but I have no idea what I'm doing. Well, you are in a good place, 1011 Trucking. Once you are registered, ideally, you need to learn how to bid, because you want to win contracts. You are registered. The middle piece is, how do you learn how to bid and learn the game? So that's really what we focus primarily on. So hopefully you find value in this. Feel free to ask questions though. If you're totally lost, let me know. Jessica Clark, is the middleman training regarding consulting or subcontracting? The middleman training is regarding subcontracting. I don't really talk about consulting at all. What's going on, KW? Nice to see you. Shantaz Allen, I'm late. That's okay. Better late than never. And we just started, so you're totally fine. Jason, so if our company doesn't do accommodations, but we want to, do we use the middleman approach? You can use whatever approach that you want. You just have to make sure, of course, that you are complying with limitations on subcontracting if you're going to do that. So it's up to you how you want to approach it. Just know that some approaches compared to others may be more competitive, maybe more or less profitable, right? So you just have to take those things into consider. If, for example, this contract that we're looking at, if you think there's like, I don't know, like if you're going to be going up against Greyhound or something, I mean, this is total small business set aside. So arguably they are not a small business, so they would probably not be doing this. So who do you think the competition is going to be on this? I don't think you really need to middleman this contract. I think you could find bus drivers, like find a bus driver for a week and rent a bus that holds 55 people, they said, and make sure the driver has all the credentials and, he's a professional driver. I think instead of subbing out the whole contract, trying to do a middleman approach, which then is going to require you to work with another company, it's going to make you maybe not the lowest price. So I think you could try to win this thing being the lowest price, kind of assembling these parts on your own instead of relying on another link in the chain to do that all for you. And this way you're actually self-performing everything too. So, I mean, hopefully that general idea as it relates to this contract helps. And I just realized I'm looking at, I'm showing you guys the next bid here. But I'm not sharing my screen, so even better. Jason, so my company would technically hire the bus driver and everything else and just manage the process. Yeah, it's not managing. I mean, you're doing the work. If you're hiring the driver, you're paying the driver. That is you doing the work. So it's you have to manage the driver too. But that employee, that driver, is an extension of your business. You know what I'm saying? Versus if you work with another company, that's not an extension of your business. That's teaming or that's subcontracting. So that's not self-performance. That's not an extension of your business, right? Because they're a separate entity. So if you put it all under your entity, that's your business doing it. And yes, you have to manage it, but it's also you performing it too. So I think it's just a change in the way that you're thinking about it, because hiring somebody is not subbing it out per se, right? It's when you're teaming, you're working with other entities. That's kind of the difference. If someone becomes your employee, then that is 100% self-performance. Yeah, you got it, man. Let's go ahead and bounce to the next bid. And guys, as you have your questions, just post those in the chat. Number 2, Janitorial Services, Madison County. Okay, Department of Agriculture. This is due February 3rd, so actually not a lot of time. Small business set aside 561720. That ever familiar NAICS code for janitorial services, 561720. Okay, so Department of Agriculture. Farm Services requires janitorial services for Madison County. Okay, the contractor will supply labor time materials, supplies to be provided, including cleaning materials. Okay, so that's going to be what we call a GFE, government furnished equipment, not contractor furnished equipment. So you don't have to worry about pricing out the products and stuff. And this usually is typical of janitorial contracts. The combined occupied space is going to be approximately 4829 square feet. And that includes the reception area, office space, hallways, restrooms, and break room and conference room. The janitorial services will be a base of 12 months from time of the award with no option periods. So this is 1 year only. We could speculate as to why they're not putting any option periods on this. The best speculation could be that they want to, even though they don't have to execute option years, that they may want to feel out the contractor, but it just means it's going to be coming up for recompete. So maybe they don't want you to get too comfortable. There could be, a number of things going on in the background. So in terms of attachments, we have a WD, wage determination, and also a solicitation. So we'll just go ahead and dive into the SOL for this one for janitorial services. This is 38 pages, not too bad at all. Okay, some of this is copy and paste, so we already know this. Duties and skills. So we're looking for pricing. We are looking for volume. So they're saying twice weekly, doors, windows, and entrance. And then office areas. This is all twice weekly, it looks like. And then weekly, vacuuming, sanitizing the phones. Quarterly, entrance, doors, and windows, clean all windows inside and out. Monthly, the restrooms. Wow, that doesn't seem very good for restrooms. Spray buff the tile floor every month. That's actually pretty frequent. And then yearly, to strip and wax the floors as well as the restrooms. Okay, so we have an idea of what the services are. This is actually great. This is very straightforward. I like this. They're telling us exactly what they want and how often they want it. So when it comes to pricing, shouldn't really be no guessing. We also have the square footage, which is around, what was it, 4,200 or something? Oh, 4,829. Period of performance, we already know this. Contract data. So this is very light solicitation. They're really spacing it out too, so not a whole lot to read here. Looking for pricing, looking for instruction to offers for the proposal, looking for evaluation factors. So instruction, conditions, and notice to offers right here. Let me zoom in a little bit for you guys. Apologies on that. Firm fixed price, purchase order. All interested and qualified parties shall provide a quote. Okay, they're not giving us much here. Price for base, no option years, point of contact, business size. So fill this out, very easy. Payment terms, TIN number, same, very easy. High level company information. Must be registered in SAM. Valuation factors. Okay. Quote will be based on lowest price, technically acceptable, just like the previous one we looked at. This is going to be price only, guys. Very, very straightforward and rather simple to respond to this. Vendor will provide price for the base year and all option years. Again, it's just base year only. Vendor provided key personnel. Okay, so that would be good. So a couple resumes, and then the vendor to be registered in SAM. So you want to reflect really these three things in your proposal to be considered technically acceptable. And again, this is really going to be pass fail. So as long as you check these boxes, then you earn the right to have your price looked at. And then if your price is the lowest after checking all these boxes, you will win this contract. And if you're not, you will not. Okay, that's how you want to read this. And you want to read these that way. You want to make this real for yourself. You want to understand what it takes to win, to determine if it's something worth winning, if it's something worth going after, in other words. All right, we got Michael. Hello from Tampa, Florida, electrical and interior renovations. Nice, Michael. Thanks for joining us today. Welcome. Curtis Freeman as well. Good morning from Ann Arbor. Nice. Near my old stopping grounds in Michigan. You're late, but you made it. So that's what matters. Welcome, Curtis. All right, awesome, guys. And hey, if you're liking the stream, you're getting some value, smash the like button if you would. And let's just keep it rolling. I think we don't have a lot of questions today, and that's a-okay with me. We'll just makes more time for the bids themselves. The bids are pretty short too, to be fair. So these next three are going to be the staffing requirements, or at least they appear to be, that we're going to dive in. Cool thing is they are in all different industries, so we get to see what it looks like from different perspectives. So the first one of the staffing is going to be broadcast systems specialist for Bureau of Land Management. This is due February 1st, so tomorrow. So this is going to be more of an example than something practical, because this is not anywhere near enough time to probably put together a response. Total small business set aside, engineering services, NAICS code 541330. We do have some copy and paste information here. I'm just scrolling through. They are saying quotes are due later than Wednesday, January 25th, which has passed us. So I'm wondering if they have, let's see, a few changes. Yeah. Where is it? Yeah, right here. Yep. So original date for offers due was January 25th. Updated offers due is February 1st. So they ended up adding a week on to that. We don't know how that fits into the story yet. We may never know. In terms of document attachments, we have the solicitation doc. We have past performance reference form, and then we have amendment 1 to the solicitation. Okay. And what do we always say about forms, guys? When it comes to forms, we don't go hunting for forms. I get questions. Derek, where's the SF 1449 form? How do where do I find that to fill that out? They didn't give it to me. Well, they didn't give it to you. You don't fill that out. Okay. And that's the same for any form. And if they are requesting a form and they didn't give it to you, you need to email contracting and say, hey, you didn't attach the form. Please provide that so industry can, we can jump through the hoops that you want us to jump through, right? So that's the rule of forms. A lot of people get geeked out on those. You only fill out what you have, but when you have those, you do fill those out. And so in terms of forms, what do we have? We have a solicitation doc. We have an amendment to the solicitation. So we have to formally acknowledge that amendment as well by print date and signing that too. We also have past performance references, which is likely going to have to be filled out by a reference for our company. But we'll see what that looks like more as we dive in. Let's get started with the solicitation doc itself. And again, just a quick reminder, we're looking at broadcast systems specialist, and we're thinking this is staffing. Period of performance is telling us on the SF 1449 form, February 1st, which is tomorrow, through 2026 for the same period. Okay, lots of people freak out about this as well. Derek, how are we going to supposed to start work tomorrow when the bids due tomorrow, right? Am I just totally, no, yeah, it's due tomorrow. They're going to extend it, okay? They're going to extend this period of performance. They're going to kick it back. It's going to be okay, I promise. Don't get too hung up on that particular part. It says base year broadcast system specialist in accordance with statement of work. And that's just repeated for the option year. Okay, so they're just copying and pasting those years out. So what is this? They are saying /studio engineer, gives us a little bit more of an idea. It says that the requirement is for non-personal services of up to 2 qualified system specialists /studio engineers to undertake training support duties within the NTC National Training Center, covering a total of 40 hours per week. Now that's really important because we're looking at up to 2 people and covering 40 hours per week. So if it's up to 2 people and it's 40 hours per week, it sounds like 40 hours is finite, meaning you can have one person do 40 hours, or you can have 2 people do 20 hours. I don't know if it would make sense to do like 15 hours and 25 hours, however you want to split that. There may be a reason to have a need to have a 2 warm bodies instead of 1, but it does sound like the 40 hours is finite. And so either way, pricing would be based off of the 40 hours. So however you propose it, it shouldn't affect your total price. So they're giving us responsibilities and duties here. So say if you're recruiting, this is in fact staffing. These are the information that you as the recruiter or whoever on your team is going to be looking for somebody or somebodies to staff on this. This is the information you'd want to see reflected perhaps in a resume, and skills that you would want to make sure that are demonstrable in a resume to contracting for somebody as a studio engineer to be able to do this. Location is going to be out of Phoenix, Arizona. So that's really important. Pricing schedule. So we did find this pricing. They are giving us the hours, 1912 hours. And this is going to be per year. So you take those 40 hours, and you add that up, you less the holidays, and that's how you arrive at 1912, as well as PTO is probably 2 weeks vacation is probably rolled up into this as well. So it doesn't matter. My point is it's not going to matter if it's 1 or 2 people, as I said, because it's just hours. However you fulfill those hours with 1 or 2 people, it's not going to affect this total contract value for the pricing. So I am curious to see if they are asking for resumes on this, making sure I'm not missing anything. So we do have our addendum for the instruction to offerers. So what do they want in our response? Okay. The only authorized point of contact for this acquisition is contracting officer. Okay. Repetitive. That's fine. This acquisition will be solicited and awarded in accordance with simplified acquisition. So guys, let me know in the chat, what is simplified acquisition? What is that value? I'm sure somebody can get it. I'm not gonna tell you this time. I'm sure somebody can come up with what that limit is. Simplified acquisition. We got Dr. Letitia in the house from Bid Team. She definitely knows what it is. Okay, what exactly are they wanting? Okay, here we go. Volumes 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is what I was looking for. The overall quote shall consist of 4 separate volumes, documents, okay? So don't do one document with volume 1, 2, 3, 4 in it. They want volume 1, that's 1 PDF. Volume 2, that's 2 PDFs. Volume 3, volume 4. Okay, so 4 separate attachments individually titled as with these different nomenclatures, these different naming conventions. So title of the document, offer and other documents. Title volume 2, factor 1 technical quote. Title volume 3, factor 2 past performance, and factor 3 price for volume 4. Now, so we have a very crystal clear layout for what they want. And don't forget, we did see the past performance, what do they call it, a survey references sheet. So that's likely going to satisfy the factor 2. we saw the pricing table for factor 3. The offer and other documents is probably going to be like contract admin stuff. So that's not going to be hard. So the factor 1 technical quote is going to be the most interesting piece because we don't know what's involved in that. Is it going to be resumes? What's that going to be? But they are doing us a favor and telling us specifically. So guys, this is literally like, let me make sure this is what it appears to be. So what you can, like, you can take this, you can copy this, you can paste this, you know, in a Word doc, and you can start writing to it. Like formatting. Let me try and grab it a little bit better. Let me try and grab the formatting here. Okay, so this one. At least this keeps you on track, okay? Don't leave in the crap in here that you're not supposed to, like use your brain. But literally, what's the RFQ number? What's the company name? Okay, but this is for a cover letter. So you should be pulling this stuff off to get writing. Put it on a scrap piece of paper, like I'm doing right now, and then just go through it and check these off as you have them. This is how you begin the process of proposal writing. Once you build out your outline, which you can also very easily do because they gave you your outline right here. It's actually 4 different documents. You know what I'm saying? So like this is, you know, reps and certs, registered in SAM. Okay, that's fine. And then like that's the volume 1 offer and other docs piece. Like it's very, very light. But coming down, let's come down to like volume 2. So the volume 2 has A, B, C, D, E, F, and F. Okay, so like this is all really important stuff. Like if you don't do this, they're not even gonna look at your price. Probably. And let me try and format that a little better. And this is super sloppy. Like I'm not trying to tell you like this is what a finished proposal looks like. This is just mess. This is work. This is getting yourself organized with the important things. You're extracting the key information. So this first thing, this would be for technical, right? Just for our own notes. To enable the evaluation of technical quotes strictly on the merit of the material submitted, no contractual price information is to be included in the technical quote. Where estimated labor hours will provide clarity with no indication as the cost of these hours. Okay, fine. They actually don't need anything. That's a FYI. I'm going to take that out. Number 2, the quote shall not merely offer to perform work in accordance with the SOW. The SOW reflects the objective. Therefore, repeating the SOW without sufficient elaboration will not be acceptable. Okay, so sufficient elaboration. We know we need to provide that in our technical piece here. The technical quote shall contain and clearly address each of the quote evaluations criteria as listed below. Okay, that's not super helpful. Technical quote, exceptions and deviations shall identify and explain any exceptions or deviations. Okay, yada, yada, yada. I'm going to spare you for just a second. I'm going to skim through this. Any exceptions taken must contain sufficient amplification. That's fine. All benefits to the government shall be explained for each exception taken. Such exceptions shall not of themselves automatically cause a quote to be termed unacceptable. You just basically have to explain why. However, a large number of exceptions, okay, I don't know why they're talking so much about exceptions. Unless you're going to do exceptions, I wouldn't worry too much about it. Offer shall provide sufficient details to address safe performance practices. So that's important. To reflect a thorough understanding of the requirement and the procedures required. Quotes which merely rephrase, okay, they already told us, statement of work are not going to be considered acceptable. As a minimum, the technical quote must specifically respond to the following evaluation factors. Okay, so we're kind of, I thought we were to it, but I guess we weren't to it yet. Now we're getting to it, apparently. Volume 1. Okay, this is just more layout stuff. This is still not them telling us. Okay, so they're kind of dragging their feet on this. Okay. So this volume 2 technical quote would be, it was all a lead up. Okay. It was all a lead up. What I've been trying to do is going to be more appropriate for this. Okay. A, B, and C. Offer shall provide detailed discussion describing the methodology and procedures regarding how they will perform services. Okay, methodology and procedures. So we want to pull that out. Offer shall list and describe all of the techniques, tactics, and strategies. So that's going to be also important too. They're saying to list that they intend to use. Offer shall provide key personnel resumes. There's the resume things. We finally got to it, guys. There is the freaking resumes. Each resume shall provide the name, labor category, and experience. Okay, so they want resumes. Offer shall provide a detailed discussion on how they will manage replacement of key personnel. So some sort of staffing plan, transition plan that you may have on hand, you can customize into this section. Okay, so these are things that we're pulling out. Past performance. Attachment 1A. So this is literally going to be, this is going to be technical. This is the technical. Okay. And these are all separate documents. Past performance, we're just taking notes right now. Past performance is going to be attachment A or attachment 1 that we saw in SAM. This one, which we haven't even looked at, so we will get back to it. And then pricing, factor, and really I should be calling these the factors as well. Provide a separate price quote. The quote shall consist of labor rates, pricing schedule, fixed labor categories. Okay, so we could come back to that, but this is exactly what they're asking for the pricing in conjunction with that pricing table that we looked at. Okay, so literally this one page kind of becomes a bit of an outline. This is your technical with the resumes and the tactics and the methodology, as well as a transition plan. Your next factor, it's going to be what? Factor 2, factor 1, factor 2, assuming I didn't mix these up, factor 3. Then this, now you are responding to the requirement. You're not saying, should I put this in there? Should I put that in there? Because then you become at risk, and that's even putting it generously, of putting fluff or putting things in your offer that not only they didn't ask for, but it's going to make it harder for the to find the things that they're going to be rating you on that you do want them easily finding. Okay, so less very much is more in a lot of these cases. So you want to operate from something like this, and this is just a good practice, a good habit to get into. You know, have your Word doc open as you're going through this. Pull out the good stuff. Yeah, again, it's factor 1, factor 2, factor 3. There you go. And this is the evaluation now. How will the winning bidder be chosen? They're saying the technical quote evaluation committee will evaluate each quote submitted for their technical quote factor 1, past performance factor 2, and price factor 3 information will then be considered and a best value analysis performed. So we are hearing best value. We are not seeing lowest price, right? And that's why they're putting emphasis on these factors versus the other bids that we looked at earlier today. We didn't see these factors broken down. It's more of check the box, pass, fail, as we talked about. And then it's what's the price? They're saying the relative importance of each factor is as follows. So they are weighted differently. Okay, this is very indicative of a best value. Okay, so lowest price is not necessarily and maybe even not likely going to win this. You got to sell the technical piece of it and have some past performance as well. Factor 1, technical quote, is more important than factor 2, past performance. So technical is way more important than past performance, they're telling us. Like, past performance is nice, but we really want to see the technical quote. And again, guys, what was that? Now we know because we pulled it out. It's the resumes. I'm going to keep coming back to it. It's the transition plan. It's the methodology and procedures. It's even the safety that we pulled up in here that you can build in as well. But most of this was just the formatting of the proposal. But that's what the technical is. They're saying that stuff, which you can respond to, is so much more important than past performance. And then past performance, which is more important than factor 3, which is the price. So they're saying like price is the least important if you just the law of default here. When factor 1 and 2 are combined, however, they are significantly more important than price, which we could have guessed because past performance is already more important than price. However, price is still a major consideration in the source, which we actually don't know what that means because they just said it was significantly less important. Okay, so, but then they go to break out how these are going to be rated. Okay, so they're going to look at the technical piece. You're either going to get an outstanding, a good, acceptable, marginal, or an acceptable, right? So if you got a good and the other guy or gal got an acceptable, then you did better than them on this piece. But then they're going to also look at your past performance and your pricing or whatever. But this is how the technical is going to be rated. The past performance is going to be rated by relevant, somewhat relevant, or not relevant. So these are all different scorecards, little like not report cards, but scorecards on each of the section of your proposal. And this is where debriefs come in, because if you do win or if you do lose in any event, you want to ask for the debrief and get the feedback. And they're going to say, well, we rated you such and such on this part. Because without the debrief, whether it's in, over the like Zoom or written, you don't know. So you want to know if you were found to be relevant or somewhat relevant, or if you were found to be somewhat relevant or not relevant. Okay, this is best value stuff. This is not lowest price bids, quote only, price only. This is where the proposal is a bit more important. You guys need to learn how to do both of these. And the past performance, it says, once the past performance information is reviewed, provide an overall performance confidence rating. So based on the past performance, how much confidence do we have on you to do a good job on this? Our confidence is going to be substantial. It's going to be satisfactory. It's going to be limited. It's going to be no confidence at all, or it's going to be unknown, which means if you don't have relevant past performance, you're going to be rated like neutral. Okay, neutral rating is going to be called unknown. It's not going to help you, but it's not going to count against you. And then the factor 3, price. These are past performance stuff. Hang on. For price, they're going to want you to be fair and reasonable. They're going to want to see balanced pricing, as they always do. Fair and reasonable again. But they are going to award without discussion or negotiation. So that's what they have to tell us about price. Okay. So then we have this past performance form, which is quite possibly the same attachment here, which we never got to, but it is. So it's just attached separately and it's included. So we spent a lot of time on that one, but we had the extra time and it's best value. So we got to look at a mix of things. Let's see what's going on in the chat today. Jason, if they don't give you the form they're requiring you and you don't submit it or ask for it, your bid will be rejected. Yeah, Jason, they'll reject you, or they'll say fill out the form if they're nice. But technically, you're considered to be not compliant, and they should throw your bid away. And if they don't give you the form and they're requiring it and you don't submit it, or if we don't ask for it, our bid will be rejected. Yeah, like if they're asking for it, you need to submit it. If they're asking for it and they don't provide it, like I said, tell them to provide it to you. It's communication is key. Looks like Andy Robertson was first to get for that simplified acquisition threshold of $250K. Good job, Andy. You nailed it. If your contract's for multiple years, do you add more for each additional year? Yeah, you do incremental increases. That's part of balanced pricing. Okay, a small escalation. Okay, to account for inflation, other factors. If it's just for 5 years, it's the same price. And if it's staffing, right, like you're not giving your people a raise, it's not real. It's not realistic. Paulette Miller, good morning from frozen bipolar weather state of Texas. What's going on, Pauletta? Yeah, I feel for you on that one. I really do. Hopefully you're staying warm. Dr. Letitia just got back and heard my name. Oh, I was just throwing out a question to the group, Dr. Letitia. Just if anybody knew what simplified acquisition threshold, what the number was. Somebody had already got it, but I was like, oh, Dr. Letitia's in bid team, so she would definitely know. 1011 Trucking would love to learn more about your training and where I can find additional information. Yeah, if you just go to govconmethod.com, we have it presented all there for you to take a look at. Betty Thomas says the government still want our DUNS. Nope. Don't worry about the DUNS number. The UEI has replaced the DUNS as of last April. So don't even do that. Annie on janitorial, if they give you office size, how do you determine labor hours? They'll either give you the labor hours, or it's up to you to kind of be your expert in your field to see like how many hours it would take and how many people are you going to send. Lots of times it would be one person. If the facility is really large, it would be two people. And then how many hours are they going to spend there to do the cleaning, right? And then as we looked at in the janitorial example, if it's weekly, if it's biweekly, if it's quarterly, if it's monthly, if it's annually or semi-annually, how many times do they have to do those tasks? So you would want to go through and do all that math based on what they're doing when, and then calculate also how many people you're going to be providing to do that. That's on you to provide. The government is not going to really give you hours for a janitorial contract. So it's just, you have to kind of estimate, is it going to take like 2 hours to clean it, 3 hours to clean it? Do I have, I'm counting for travel. Is the person going to have to travel? How far do they have to travel? They're going to want to be obviously reimbursed for all of that. So those are the things to consider, Annie, in your hours. All right, cool, guys. And if you're liking the stream today, smash the like button. We are running the legal middleman masterclass live again tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. If anybody's interested in that, it's going to be about an hour to hour and a half of legal middleman training, going through a lot of the clauses as well as subcontracting. I will have a really sick offer for you at the end if you are interested in additional support, but the training in itself is highly valuable and it's totally free. If you're interested in that, the link for that is in the description of this video. You'll have to register because it's not on YouTube, and I'll see you guys there. Anybody who wants to join, we're running it again. That will be totally live. It's not pre-recorded, and it'll be tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Central Time. Again, the link is in the description, guys. You just got to grab the link in the description of the video. All right, let's go ahead and move on to our last and final bid for the day, I think. Pretty happy with how these particular ones have shaped up. One more, what appears to be staffing, and we've been right so far, 2 out of 2. I think we're going to be 3 out of 3 for sure, because this is Protective Security Officer services throughout the state of Tennessee. I don't know if this is one PSO or multiple PSOs, so automatically I'm looking to find that as I come into this. Bids due February 24th, so actually a good amount of time, about 3 weeks to put your bid together and respond to this. This is set aside for small business. 561612 security guard and patrol services, naturally. They are saying that there's actually a pre-proposal conference. No, that was November 8th of last year. So that's interesting. So they've already had that. That's fine. I mean, curious how large this is. If they're investing in something like that, the contract will be awarded for a 5-year term. So it'll probably be a base plus 4. Okay, I'm kind of antsy to just dive into what they actually have here. So there's an NDA, there's a solicitation doc, and then there's been 3 amendments. So we'll start with the source, and then we'll check out what those amendments were based on. Okay, cool, guys. SF 1449 form. They're giving us the 5 ordering period. So this is not going to kick off until May of this year. It's going to go through May 2027. It says those small businesses wishing to receive the current post exhibit. I'm not sure what that is. Sounds important, though. Must submit a NDA to contracting. The resulting contract will be issued with a $100K minimum guarantee. This minimum guarantee will be deobligated from the contract once the task orders are issued. So it's going to be task order based from the sounds of it. But they are wanting to price based off of providing, okay, this is definitely larger than what I thought it was, which is cool. This is going to be based off of your submission to this, off of these categories and these hours. So we have 2 labor categories. We have a protective security officer for 30,500 hours. Okay, so you can calculate how many people you think that is. For example, if you're going to divide 1912 into that, for example, maybe 13, 14 people, just throwing out round numbers. Emergency Security Services, ESS, 3,500 hours. Okay, that does not look like 2 full-time people. Maybe 3, 4 part-timers, maybe a full-timer and a part-timer. We're not sure, but as we read through these hours, we want to try to at least make sense of those and fill in the pieces as we go along the way. You can see where the base becomes option years because it's based on the consistency of the numbering. So 0001, 0002, that's for the base period. 1001, 1002, that's for option period. Okay. So that goes all the way through all 4 option years being exactly the same. Instructions for use of this template. This is 106 pages, by the way, so we'll kind of see what we're getting ourselves into here. And I'm just kind of scrolling through. It's a little bit of a different layout than what we're used to, so I'm just making sense of it. And that's one thing that you'll see, and this is a skill that you develop over time. I always say every bid is different. Also, part of that is why every agency's bids are different. So you start to get familiar with different layouts, the way that things look, because they're not all exactly the same. They are definitely not. And so if you get freaked out by that, that can, you don't want to get freaked out. You just want to slow down. You want to read. You want to repeat. Here's our wage termination. It looked like. You just want to stick to the fundamentals. Side note, guys, personal note here. My arms are so sore. I'm reaching for a glass as I'm reading. I can't stretch my arm out all the way. I started working with a personal trainer 2 weeks ago, and we did upper body yesterday. And so, yeah, I'm just in all sorts of pain. Okay, so we found what appears to be instruction to offers. I want to make sure I'm all the way up to the top, and evaluation. So here we go, more than halfway through. We did find it. Really nothing in instruction to offers other than submit by the due date. Again, this jargon, it must be what the amendments are for, because this is all 2022 stuff. But this bid is due on February 24th. And we could see it. The original date was November 30th. So this has been reworked and whatever. So we're just taking that grain of salt right now because we do have the 3 amendments from November, December, and January. So that's going to really help make sense of this whole thing. So ignore the dates for now. What we're getting to is this core information that is likely not changed at least a whole lot. So for evaluation, they're looking for relevant past performance, management approach. Again, this is evaluation, right? But it's also sounding like instruction offers, telling us what to put in our proposal. The technical evaluation factors when combined are more important than price. So likely looking at another best value bid as well. Proposal evaluation information. The non-price factors when combined are more important than price. Yes. And then now here's proposal submission requirements. So this is more like the instruction offers, right? They're kind of doing it backwards here, which is why every bid is different. The way every agency does things is different. So they're at least numbering this for us. SF 1449 form, fill that out with the pricing cleanse that they gave us. Proposal shall be submitted with 2 separate electronic files. The first file shall be the technical. The second file shall be the price. Okay, fair enough. Page limits. Oh, wow. Is limited to 3 pages. So the page limits, excluding the cover page, table of contents, past performance, teaming agreements. And it says, comma, the technical proposal is limited to 3 pages. So that's definitely something you would want to spend more time on understanding. Pages and the way that you can read how they do this, pages in excess of this limitation will not be evaluated. So they read up to the first 3 pages, and then they don't read beyond that. So they're not necessarily throwing you out. It's just we're reading 3 pages and that's it. So whatever you put in those 3 pages is on you. Then the technical proposal here, it appears relevant past performance with references, past project form, past performance questionnaire. And then the management approach is number 2. They're kind of spelling this out for us here. And then price proposal. So definitely the more involved, this one, more spelt out, would definitely require more time. They had a pre-proposal conference. There were also, I didn't call it out, but they were also talking about oral submissions. Like sometimes they do this as a preliminary evaluation step 2, where you give like a presentation, which we don't really focus a whole lot on those, or even see a whole lot of those, because they're usually much, much larger. But as you can see, we were maybe ballparking, more than a dozen staffed positions on this for 5-year contract. So they're definitely going to put in the additional criteria and steps, because it's going to be just that much more of an issue. So guys, those are our 5 for today. Let me go ahead and clean up my tabs here, and then I will bounce back to the chat one more time. But again, if you got some value today, please smash the like button. And if you're watching this and you're not subscribed to the channel, definitely subscribe so you don't miss future live streams here where you can bring your questions. So K. Daniel Deco, thanks for hosting these lives. 100%. Question for 4 + 1 year projects, base plus 4. Do you keep the annual price the same every year? No, you do want to adjust for inflation. You do want to have some sort of escalation built into that. Good question. And Christian here, I'm having trouble with pricing. I keep losing because of pricing. What do you suggest? Christian, there's a number of things that I could suggest. Sounds like you're coming in too high. I don't know where you're bidding. If you're bidding on Unison, you could literally bid on 50 or 100 and continue to lose. I don't recommend bidding on Unison for that reason. So there's a lot of context behind this question that I don't have. If you're going after services and you're bidding on SAM and you're losing, I would like to know like how many you've responded to. And again, if those were services and if there were products. If it's products, it's just going to be a lot more numbers you have to do. If it's services, the competition is lower. Okay. And the margins are better. Why do you think I like services more? So some of those contexts would be important, but comparing your price that you've submitted, if that is the case, to what the winning bidder price is, are you being too greedy on your markups? Are the prices that being awarded, are those unreachable prices where you're saying there's no way that they're doing it at this price? Because then we don't want to be jealous of a bad business, because lots of contracts terminate, they default. Maybe it's a new contractor didn't know what they were doing. I actually blame contracting for taking an unreasonably low price in those instances. For some reason, they still do it. Ends up just hurting everybody, right? So we don't want to forget that those situations can happen too, and we don't want to feel bad about those. So again, Christian, good question. Okay, no, all of my bidding is on SAM for services. Got it. Yeah, so I recommend doing striving for around like 20 submissions a year. You should be winning a couple at least. If you're doing 20 submissions a year, striving for around 2 submissions per month. Okay, that's kind of how the numbers shake out. And at those win ratios, you want to be winning a couple. You're saying I'm having trouble with pricing. I keep losing because of pricing. I would also say, are you sure about that? Are you sure that you're losing about pricing? Are you sure that you're not being found not technically acceptable in any way? Like your proposals are stellar and the only thing that's wrong is your pricing, or not wrong, but the only thing that's keeping you from winning is pricing. I would want to take a double look at that. And also in terms of getting the feedback for contracting, because it can be difficult to get the feedback. It can be difficult to get debriefs. So just make sure you're not assuming that it's your pricing just because you may not be the lowest price. Do I need to submit a capability statement with the RFQ? Would that help even if I'm using a sub? No. Capability statements have nothing to do with bidding. They have everything to do with marketing your business. And I personally liked them for formulating your strategy, your umbrella strategy, how you're going to present yourself to the government, going through the exercise of creating a CAPE statement forces you through those steps in terms of, NAICS codes and PSC codes, and what does my company have in terms of, past performance or projects. So taking that personal inventory, whether it's going to be my company's projects or my personal projects or whatever, these things that qualify to be used as past performance, it forces you to look at and go through as a mental exercise all these things that you may be asked in a actual solicitation response or a proposal. That's what capability statements really are for. In addition to, like, you're going to go to GovCon conferences, pass them out like business cards. Maybe if you're going to schedule like a capability briefing with a contracting officer, you can send that to them ahead of time. Occasionally, you will see a customized capability statement requested to a response, but it's something you will see less than 10% of the time. And if you're not winning because of your price, it's not going to help at all anyways. That's more of would be more of like a technical piece, right? Let's see. John Brown, why not Unison? I just don't like Unison because it's a race to the bottom. It's a race to the bottom. Anybody who's done it long enough and has burnt out will tell you the same, because it is a lot of burnout. People take things for crazy low numbers. And even if you win, you're not making that much money. So also, the last thing is some people like to go to Unison because they're like taking baby steps or they're afraid, but they use it as a past performance builder. But, you're dropping off like products and making like $800 on that, and then trying to go into services and use that as past performance is not going to help you because it's not relevant. It has nothing to do with, if you're trying to go into services, delivering a product is not going to help you at all. And swinging into services, it's not relevant. It's the scope of work is not the same. It shouldn't be relevant, and it's not. So these are just reasons why I don't love it. Daniel, the project I've won on Unison was a service project. Nice. Yeah, they do have a small number of services sometimes that we'll see on there. Arguably, they shouldn't be on there at all because Unison only looks at price. And something really bad happens when you're treating something like treating a service based on price only. So you're turning a service into a commodity. Well, anytime there's humans involved, you're going to get varying level of quality. So you can't do that. Versus if you're selling batteries, and you want brand name batteries, there really shouldn't be a change or volatility in the quality of the batteries, especially if they're calling out brand name. Battery is a battery is a battery. The only difference in price is going to be, are we, paying to get it there? So is there freight depending on the bulk, and then how much margin, how much profit is the vendor putting on it? And in those cases, it's like 5% or less. Like, it's very, very slim margins, right? But then services, and you have people doing stuff, that can vary widely. So services really does not belong on Unison at all. But there is a small amount of those that you could see sometimes. That's the only type of project I've won on Unison. Got it. Is there a margin on services I should follow? It varies widely across all industries. It's something like a crazy range of 5 to 25%. And when I give the range, it always changes a little bit because it always just depends. You can go higher, you can go lower. The biggest thing is, what are your, it's not necessarily all about what is the government allowing you, because competition is going to go over and above that anyways in most cases. Not over the price, but it's going to be the first thing that's looked at. Okay, because if 5 people submit bids and they're all within 10% of each other, then that's going to determine kind of what that going rate and the going range is. And as long as it's within an acceptable range with the government's estimate, then they're going to use their evaluation factors to figure that out and calculate who the winning bidder is going to be, right? So you have to take into consideration not just your pricing, but where are your competitors coming in, which is why it's helpful to look at previously awarded contracts. I know it can be hard to compare things for scope, apples to apples, to really, see what the pricing is indicative of. But doing the homework can help get you into the acceptable ranges of what other people are bidding on, so that you can be competitive based on looking at other contracts to some extent, right? And anytime it is a service, lastly, you can always and should always be asking, is there an incumbent? Is there a previous award number? Because that helps you get very much more specific potentially to that bid, as long as there wasn't a change in scope with that as well. When looking for a sub, how do you approach them? Getting paid when you get paid? Yeah, paid when paid is common payment terms. Paid when paid, you want to educate them. You want to see if they've done any government contracting themselves to see how educated they are. And it depends, if it's a service, net 30. If it's project, it's going to be miles. If it's something like construction where it's a long-term project, it's going to be milestone payments, progress payments. But if it's something project-based, that's going to be more like paid when paid. So like if you did something for, say, a couple of days where you did an install or you did an event for a week or just delivered products, again, once that is checked off in any of those three instances by the quality officer, the core, then they're going to release payment. They're going to allow you to invoice, you get paid. And then, if you're working with a subcontractor, they get paid. Now, versus if you're looking with like a supplier or manufacturer or something like that, they're going to have their own financing. They're going to have their own payment terms, even though it may be considered like teaming or subcontracting still. If you're looking at a large procurement, and you're like, how am I supposed to float this money? Well, these companies have their own financing built in. So that's how you do that as well. So it's very different than just working for straight up like janitorial services sub or something where they're not going to offer financing. Cool, guys. And again, I will just say we are running our legal middleman masterclass tomorrow night, 7 p.m. If you want to sign up for that, it's going to be about an hour and a half of training. And it's going to be focused on legal middlemaning, so that if you guys are doing this, at least you are doing it the right way. You will be able to walk away from that. We have some live interactive questions and scenarios, which was a lot of fun last week. So we're going to do those again. I'm going to switch it up a little bit. But yeah, the link for that is in the description if you want to check that out. All right, cool, guys. Well, I think we'll go ahead and say there's so much more to learn about bidding and winning on SAM. What we do during these lives, obviously, is just drop in the bucket. If you're looking for a step-by-step proven process to follow with weekly coaching, I do offer this to make sure that you're doing it right, where you actually can submit your documents in a secure portal, and I review those and give you the feedback, your bids, your proposals. You may be the next perfect fit to join our bid team. That's what the t-shirt's all about. We have some bid team members in the chat. You can learn more about that and apply to book a call to speak with a real person on my team about it at govkidmethod.com. And again, tomorrow night, check out our training at 7 o'clock as well. So hopefully you got some value out of this, guys. Subscribe, like, you know what to do if you haven't yet. And we will see you all in the next SAM.gov bids live training. Great questions today, guys. Hope you had a lot of fun. I sure did. And we will see you all in the next one. Take care, guys.